Hi guys, this is Pestily and welcome to another Escape from Tarkov video. So in this video, I'm going to go over how I got to level 40 in 24 hours. I'm going to break down over all the XP on how it was acquired via tasks and other means. Go over some of the sticking points to issues within the leveling process, and actually some really interesting stats that I found out after completing it and effectively making this video. So without further ado, let's crack straight into it. So to give context for leveling 1 to 40 in 24 hours, I actually did this with a standard edition account. I didn't use any of the Christmas bonus. I didn't have anyone inside my community or any random people give me handouts. I did this 100% purely on my own. I did use the flea market, obviously because I was purchasing stuff for task items and that, but there was no direct gift or like help from anyone within the community. I wanted to show how you can just do it purely by just playing the game and just using the mechanics from within the game. I didn't use any cheese methods like dehydration leveling or anything like that. It was all within the general proper means of playing the game. So in order to get level 40, you need 1,877,754 XP. And you can actually get the majority of this just from doing tasks. If you were to get all the XP from just doing tasks, as in if you completed every single task in the game, you'd just get just under 2 million XP. It's about 1.97 million XP. But in the leveling process of doing it fast or via a speed run, you actually should probably get around 1.73 million, which is what I got. So in the process of doing these tasks, I completed the majority of the tasks for every single trader in the game. However, there were a few that just weren't worth it, mostly based around having to kill PMCs or leveling up skills. I'm sure a lot of you guys out there that have been leveling up multiple times over multiple wights will understand that Punisher Part 4 is actually a very sticking point for the game for the majority of people, because you have to get 20 kills on Shoreline, and that's one of the most difficult tasks in the game, purely for the fact of either player population, getting into a situation to kill a PMC, and being able to get advantage of killing the PMC instead of dying. So it can actually be quite time consuming, and in the process of trying to level 40 fast, it's just not worth doing. So in this actual most recent leveling, I cut it away. I didn't bother doing it at all. So for Rapport, I've completed everything up to Punisher Part 4, but not Punisher Part 4. Therapist, I completed everything until you get to Healthcare Privacy Part 4, which is leveling up health. Skier, I completed all his tasks in the game. Peacekeeper, every single task except for the last one being Wet Job Part 6, which requires you to level sniper skills. I completed all the mechanic tasks except for the shooter storyline. I stopped after the second one because it required you to kill PMCs with a Mosin under 15 meters, which was a bit of a sticking point purely for the fact that by that time it was early morning Australian time and the Australian servers were very quiet. And then Ragman, I completed everything up until you get to the Charisma level 10. So the majority of the tasks were completed in the game. Now, something I've always been very pertinent on when trying to level fast is making sure you try and stack up your quests as much as possible. So there was periods in the game when I was doing quests and I'd get all these quests for woods. I waited till they stacked up and I had like 4 or 5 quests. I actually didn't go interchange at all and start the Ragman task until I was like level 25. I actually stacked up as many as I possibly could. There's actually a fair few that will push you over to interchange eventually. And so, like, for example, putting the gold chains down in interchange through the skier storyline or the Wi-Fi cameras. I actually waited till I had all of those quests. And so when I got onto the interchange quest, I actually really quickly got a lot of XP. It was a massive jump from, I think it was like mid-20s to about 35 happened really quickly. And then I did this bit of for a little joke to myself, just because in past 35 to 40s have been a bit of a grind. I actually saved the majority of my gunsmith tasks up until level 35, and I went from 35 to 38 or nearly 39 very quickly just from doing that. But I would actually highly suggest getting those tasks done earlier, get up those levels faster, so then you got access to more items. And an option you do have also is to try and get to at least gunsmith level 5. You'll get the shooter storyline started. And then if you've got the choice there that if you do get past the first 2 Mosin quests, which I would actually take a Mosin as a secondary, and then use that to, like when you go on Shoreline, to get those quests done passively alongside your other quests. But then if you do get to that point where you're like, hey, I wouldn't mind just going factory and trying to shoot someone with a Mosin under 15 meters, you've got that option there. Now, from doing this, this got me 1.7 million XP just over, and then I only had to get another 150,000 XP. and I got about 200,000 XP by completing other actions. And those actions are like, for kill experience, I got 92,000 XP, looting got me 63,000, healing was just under 10, and survival, as in completing a raid without dying, was 20,000 XP. Now, with my survival rate at being at 59%, most of these raids I was doing, or at least 60% of them effectively, I got 1.5 times XP. So those numbers there alone aren't enough XP to get me to 40, but if you add the 1.5 times, it does get you over the line. Now, you might notice that looting XP is actually quite high there, and a trick in the game, I've brought up this a fair few times, but if you're new to Tarkov, it's one of the best tips I can give you, is every time you see a dead body, just go up to it and press F. You don't need to loot anything from it, but just touching it will give you XP. Now, if it's even if it's just a hatchling, it's worth doing this. So, Slash and I have actually done some testing in the past. We're trying to find out a way that if it is possible to cheese level or power level someone up to 40 without even doing anything but killing your teammates. We noticed that depending on the items you put in your gamer container or your container, you can actually level up. You can actually give XP by just having a heap of keys in there that are rare. You die, the person goes to loot you, and you get up to 1,000 XP. So if someone's got a container with a key bar in there and a heap of keys, but they're a hatchling, you can actually get quite a lot of XP from doing this. Now with kill experience, you do get extra XP for doing a headshot. Even if it's on a scav or a player, it doesn't make any difference. So every headshot's worth 100 XP, and then if you survive the raid, it'll give it an extra 50%. So it's actually quite a good incentive to make sure you try and get a headshot every time that you get an easy kill on a scav or a player. Even though, obviously, you want to try and drop it in one bullet so they don't run off and do their weird stuff they do anyway. The rest of the XP is quite trivial at best. So, my focus would be to... important point to make here is to actually focus on getting your tasks done, killing every scav or player that you can, and then getting just at least the F on them just to get the XP from the looting. Now, whilst I was doing this 1 to 40 in 24 hours, I actually noticed that when I completed it, I didn't actually kill a lot of PMCs. I actually only killed 40. Now, this was mostly based around the fact that I played on Australian servers up until I hit Stir Up, which was kill 12 PMCs, and also Friend from the West Part 1. I did both of them on the American server because it was still quite early in the day for Australian time, and there wasn't a lot of population for PMCs. But once I completed those, I jumped back over to Australian servers, and up until about midnight Australian time, I bumped into players, but it was very quiet after midnight. Now, it actually is a very interesting point here that for people that actually struggle to kill players, if you can avoid players, you can still get to level 40 quite quickly just by completing your tasks. So if you've got the choice of picking a less populated server to get some of your tasks done, if you want to just focus on getting some XP or looting, it's a highly suggested thing right here. You can also take advantage of this by, say, going to a quiet server, punching out a heap of tasks, and then avoiding the fact of killing players in general. You could actually just focus on surviving. So you hear gunshots, instead of playing aggressive like I do, just focus on going the other way. And you can slow down your playstyle here and just listen out for shots instead of just charging through like I usually do. And this is a very interesting point because I think I would have probably leveled faster if it was a little bit more populated. Generally, every time I bumped into a player, particularly between midnight and, say, 7 AM, it was someone that was fully geared, just absolutely destroyed me straight away. There was multiple times I died to someone with an Elton, for example. And it was just like, yeah, well, that was never going to happen. But I did do most of my leveling with an MP153 shotgun. I actually was doing this during the when the prices of ammo was extremely high, and I didn't want to waste money on buying expensive ammo and loadouts when I could just take a shotgun and get these tasks done as quickly as possible. So now moving over to some of the sticking points. So I think in the past, the hardest thing about the game was, particularly the most time-consuming thing of the game, was actually getting all the task items. Now in the past, you'd actually have to find all the task items yourself, but now we actually have the flea market. Now what I was doing was I was actually focusing on getting some task items if I could find them that was bonus, but if I couldn't find them, I would just purchase them straight off the flea market. But if I found some excess ones, I would just chuck them up just a little bit cheaper than the cheapest price, so they would sell really quickly, and I wouldn't have to worry about that item, and I'd get some cash for it. And it worked out a really quick way of making a bit of cash on the side. Now in the past as well, keys have been a massive issue, and the advantage of the most recent addition to the game being the flea market is you can get keys really easily. However, some were very expensive, and this is how I actually handled it. So I'd actually say West 220 key was 1,000,000 rubles. I'd buy the key, do the quest, and then literally sell it straight away. I'd put it up cheaper than, like, considerably cheaper than the cheapest price, maybe drop 100,000 rubles off the original price. So if it was $1 million, put it up for like, 900,000 or 950, just make it that bit cheaper, and it would actually sell really quickly. So this was a really efficient way to not waste too much money and be able to get those quests done that I wanted to get. And moving on through quests is actually the fastest way by far, and I'll show you the actual raw numbers as we go anyway. Now, to worry about money, I didn't really do any loot runs per se, but what I do is when I was stacking up my quests to go interchange, for example, I'd actually make sure I check the higher value loot areas of interchange. So, look for those lines, or check computers for flash drives and stuff like that. Always check for those really small items that are worth a lot of money. It really does help in the long run, particularly if you don't actually need any of them later on. So to finish up, if you want to get to level 40 nice and quick, it's really important that you just focus on your tasks. Don't stress too much about hunting down PMCs. If you want to enjoy the game by killing PMCs, by all means, go and do it. But obviously, this is how I got to level 40 in just 24 hours. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that will learn, or at least learn how getting tasks done will actually benefit you for leveling a lot earlier than you actually think. And getting those tasks stacked up, getting that XP, using the flea market, flipping your keys back through, all these things combined will actually really boost the speed in which you level. I know that there's going to be more wipes in the future until this game is released, and this will help alleviate some of that problems that you might have, saying if it took you a long time to get to the higher levels to be able to use that endgame gear, even though at the moment with the flea market, that endgame gear is a lot more accessible. So guys, to finish up, I've been nominated for Breakout Creator of the Year and Twitch Creator of the Year for the Australian Games Awards. It's an absolute epic thing just to be nominated. But hey, if you guys could help out, it takes about 20 seconds to vote. Go down to the link below. There's a link to both categories. It takes about 20 seconds. If you could vote, it'd be absolutely amazing. Besides that, guys, I hope you liked the video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe for future content. I stream on Twitch 6 days a week. Go down to the link below. Give me a follow over there. And lastly, I'll see you next time.
Ooh, just a little bit. Ooh, little bit more. Ooh, just a little bit. Nikita, you know what I'm looking for.